From the NBC Nightly News, ESPN, The Today Show, 2020, Good Morning America, and even 60 Minutes, Steve Beverly has been on all these national programs talking about game shows.
Now, Steve, thank you for joining us. Talk to me a little bit about how you got so interested in game shows.
When I was 3 years old, there was a huge phenomenon on television called the $64,000 question. At that point in time, it was the biggest money show in the history of broadcasting. And the whole country was watching to see average people have their lives changed over a period of 5 weeks. And they had all of the drama that you would build out of it. It was like a sporting event. And so that hooked me on game shows from the minute that I was almost out of the crib.
Well, Steve, talk to me a little bit about how you went from your initial interest in game shows to being somewhat of an expert on the topic.
Say I was just a little bit past 40. All of a sudden you had this big phenomenon that came along called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And I was doing a website in the early days of the internet called tvgameshows.net. And all of a sudden I'm getting calls by newspapers, television stations, and people in the industry who began to follow tvgameshows.net. And so I became the guy at that time. I was called a game show guru.
Well, Mr. Game Show Guru, what was it like to get some of those phone calls from those big national shows asking for your opinion?
It stunned me because I'm a guy that grew up in Waycross, Georgia. And all of a sudden, I'm getting my calls returned from game show producers, from people, and then being able to make contact with the legendary MCs of these shows. And these were guys who were icons to me as I was growing up, and I can't believe I'm on the phone talking to them. One of the most unusual things that happened is back in the early 00s, Ken Jennings went on this 74-game winning streak on Jeopardy! I was actually asked to go on a lot of national shows and talk about Ken's winning streak. I went to New York and did an ESPN show about it. I did the Today Show. I did Good Morning America. I did 2020. And it was all about this phenomenon of game shows and how it had a huge revival in the late 90s. I never thought something like that would happen.
What do you think it is about game shows that's so captivating for audiences?
The most important thing about game shows that captivate people is if they can play along at home. Sometimes you'll get producers that'll make a game show so complicated and the rules are so confusing that it's not simple enough. It's easy to sit home and play along. That's why game shows are popular, is when the folks at home can play right along with those contestants in the studio.